Welcome to the CSSH 2020-2021 Driver and Attendant Training video. Everyone who wants to volunteer to be either a driver or an attendant during this upcoming Code Blue season will have to listen to this video. The video will explain COVID precautions, how the van will operate, and what to do in an emergency. The slideshow will automatically advance to the next slide. At the end of the slideshow, you will be directed on how to submit the information which CSSH will need to authorize you to drive or attend. In order for CSSH to authorize you to drive or attend this year, there are several steps you'll have to take. You have to watch the general training video and complete the test following that video. You'll have to complete this driver training video. And finally, download the annual driver certification form from the CSS webpage, fill it out, and email it in. These safety precautions are put in place for the safety of the volunteers and for the guests. Among other things, only 5 passengers will be allowed per trip. Look at the seating chart and you can see where it's recommended that guests sit. The driver and attendant must wear a face mask. Other PPEs are available if desired. It has also been recommended by Bucks County that the rear windows and the windows on the driver's compartment be opened slightly to provide ventilation.
These COVID safety precautions are based on the latest information from federal, state, and local authorities. They apply to both attendant and driver. They are current as of the time you are viewing this training video. If they change during the CSSH 2020-2021 Code Blue season, you will be informed.
The Bucks County Health Department recommends that any individual who's responsible for loading our guests into the van wear face mask, face shield, and gloves. All of these items, as well as gowns, are available in the van. If the driver elects to wear a face shield, he should make sure that it does not interfere with driving. It can potentially have lights reflect off the shield, which will interfere with visibility. A copy of these protocols is posted in each van and will be sent to you along with the email reminding you that you have volunteered for that day. Please familiarize yourself with its contents. It is absolutely critical that you take your temperature at home before leaving for your shift. If your temperature is above 100.4 degrees, immediately call for a replacement. See the morning email or for the emergency phone numbers. There is a maximum of 5 guests to be taken on any trip of the van. You can see to the right of the screen the suggested seating chart for those 5 guests in the van. Each guest must wear a mask. If they will not comply, they cannot enter the van. The mask must cover their nose and their mouth and must be worn continually while they're in the van. After each trip, clean the passenger cabin, even if you plan on taking another trip. After the final trip, clean the driver attendant areas. And the evening shift must empty the trash can and replace the trash can liner. This is a list of personal protective equipment which is available for volunteers and guests. Cleaning supplies are also available in the driver compartment of each van. There is a de-icer and a window scraper in each van. In the morning of the day you have volunteered for, if the shelter will be open, you should receive an email similar to what you see here. I've tried to remove most of the information which does not apply to being a driver or attendant. Also note that this email came from last season and the information on it may not be correct. First, there may be no attendant, and some of the times have changed, but it will still list the time that the driver and attendant must arrive at the site to begin the run. The document to the left is the entire roster for the day's shelter, listing the job, name, and contact information for all volunteers. For drivers and attendants, it will also list the van number they will use. If you get there and find that someone else is already using your assigned van, just take the remaining one. It is a good idea to bring this list with you. The next document is the van protocols. Make sure that you are familiar with its contents. There is also a copy posted in the van. The last document is the route guidance. It should also be hanging from the dashboard. For the PM pickup, it will show when you should leave the shelter site, when you should leave the pickup sites. It will also suggest a driving route if you are unfamiliar with the location of the pickup sites. If you are unsure or don't remember how to volunteer, on the same CSSH webpage where you found this training slideshow, you should also find a video describing how to use the CSSH Volunteer Hub to volunteer. There have been several changes which you will notice if you have volunteered in past years. Due to the restriction of no more than 5 guests per van run, we will probably try to utilize both vans and make simultaneous runs. The problem with that is that it doubles the number of volunteers needed. One solution is to no longer require both a driver and an attendant, asking the driver to also act as an attendant. We are still trying to figure this out, and we will update you as the situation solidifies. That is why it is so absolutely important this year. If we have more volunteers, the more volunteers we can get, the better. We have carefully analyzed previous year's stops and have reduced the number to 2, Walmart and Wendy's. The departure time from the pickup location listed in the route guidance is very close to the expected arrival time at the pickup location. Only if you have arrived earlier than that posted time will you have to wait. The guests have been informed that they must arrive before the projected departure time. The van will not wait for them. There is also projected to be no van runs for Doylestown guests when the host site is St. Paul's, since the walk time is so short. There will be assistance because you are unable to walk to get to the van or to get to the shelter. This slide is a picture of the side of one of the vans. The number you see on the left of the picture is the number of the van. It will be either a 1 or a 2. The small oblong device at the top of the driver's side window is the key vault. You will need to unlock this to get the key to the van. It will be a good idea to bring a small flashlight with you to be able to see the key vault in order to unlock it. These can easily and cheaply be obtained at the dollar store. The next slide will be a video which will show you how to lock and unlock the key vault. Before you can unlock and start the van, you need to retrieve the key from the key vault, which is the oblong box attached to the top of the driver's side window. The first step is to gently open the weather cover, revealing the keypad. The sequence to unlock the van is to pull down button A, then in sequence push buttons B, C, D, and E. Finally, pull down on button F and the key vault should open, revealing the van key. After unlocking the van and starting the engine, partially open the driver's side window, detach the key vault, and leave it in the van. When you are ready to turn off the van for the last time, reverse the process to put the key back into the key vault. Partially open the driver's side window, reattach the open key vault, and close the window. After cleaning the van and locking it up, put the key back into the key vault and close the keypad. Push down on button A, then in sequence push button B, C, D, and E. Then pull down button F and push the keypad completely closed. Make sure that the key vault is securely closed and close the weather cover. These instructions are also contained in a PDF on the page where you found the training show, so that you can take it with you if you decide you need a reminder. Upon arrival, go to your assigned van. Unlock the van. Start the engine to warm the van up. Adjust the seat. In van number 2, the adjustments are underneath the front of the seat near the top. In van number 1, they're at the side and at the front of the seat. Clear off the windshield if it needs to be cleared off. Familiarize yourself with what's in the van. Then get ready to go. A laminated copy of the route guidance will be attached to the dashboard of the van when the season starts. It will contain the latest van schedules for the current host site. It will list the times you should leave the shelter host site, the times to leave the pickup sites, and a suggested driving route if you are unfamiliar with the locations. It will also be attached to the email you will get from CSSH reminding you that you have volunteered for the day. There is other information in the van which you should make sure you're familiar with. The mileage log is in the door on the driver's side. The van pickup register is usually on the door on the passenger side, but may be on the passenger seat. The vehicle registration, insurance information, and accident report are in a notebook on the driver's side door pocket. The on-call transportation committee members' contact information is posted on the dashboard. The mileage log, which is included on a clipboard in the side pocket of the van, must be filled out for every run or series of runs, showing the date of the run, the starting odometer reading, the ending odometer reading after each run or runs, the purpose of the run, either PM pickup or AM drop-off, and the initials of the driver and the attendant, if any. We also need you to fill out the van pickup register, which is included on a clipboard, usually in the attendant side of the van, but can clearly be moved to the driver's side if there's no attending. This shows the date of the pickup, and for Walmart and Wendy's, we need the number of guests picked up at each site. This will be important to help us determine what needs to be changed about the van run schedule. There are a number of things you can do to make the trip run as cleanly, as quickly, and as smoothly as possible. Arrive on time, prepare the van, and leave on time. For the evening run, the arrival time at the van site is in the email. The departure time is in the route guidance. Both of these times will vary based on the specific host site. The evening driver needs to restock the van at the end of their run and empty the trash basket. For the AM run, the arrival time at the van site is in the email. Departure time is in the route guidance. Both of these times will vary based on the specific host site. While waiting for the van to warm up, check in the shelter to get a count of the number of guests needing a ride to each of the drop-off points. This may affect whether 1 or 2 runs will be needed. If there is an attendant in the van, that is who will let the guests into the van. If there is no attendant, then it is responsibility of the driver to let the guests into the van. Put the wastebasket out for disposal of any unneeded masks and put out the step stool for those guests needing assistance to get into the van. Remember, No guest is allowed to get into the van before they have received and put on a mask. When you finish the trip, return to the shelter. Unload the van if it's a PM pickup. Load the van if there are still guests waiting for an AM drop-off. Check if an additional run is required. When the necessary run or runs is over, park the van in a specified spot, wipe down the van, lock the key back into the key vault, and thank you very much for volunteering. A basic conduct is expected of guests in the van and in the shelter. No drugs, alcohol, weapons, no liquid containers, including water bottles. No fighting or harassment or stealing. No profanity or changing seats in the van. No smoking in the van or inside the shelter. There are multiple reasons for calling one of the CSSH Transportation Committee on-call members. If there is an accident, call 911 and let them know the situation. Multiple or single vehicle, number of occupants, and if it even looks like someone may be injured. Call the CSSH Transportation Committee member on call and explain the situation. Never admit anything. Registration, insurance information, and an accident report form are in a notebook in the driver's side door. Take plenty of pictures of damaged all vehicles, including the license plate of the other vehicles. Make sure to get the name, address, and driver license number of the other vehicles. Another reason for calling one of the emergency contact numbers if there is a problem between or with guests in the van. Call 911 to get the police to come to remove all involved parties. Do not get personally involved. Call the CSSH Transportation Committee member on call and explain the situation. Record the name of all involved guests. If you should, heaven forbid, get a traffic ticket, call the CSSH Transportation Committee member on call. Registration and insurance information are in a notebook in the side pocket of the driver's door. The rest is up to you. Finally, if the van breaks down, if you get stuck in snow, or if a warning light is on or something seems wrong, call the CSSH Transportation Committee member on call and explain the situation. On the same site where you found this video, there will be a link to a document which you must download, fill out, and get it back to Kara before she can list you as one of the volunteers eligible to volunteer as driver or attendant. It is vital this year that you fill this out and return it. No inquiry will be made on any information which you supply. It is enough for us to know that you are insurable. While driving, you are covered by insurance from CSSH. If anybody has any questions about volunteering to be a driver or attendant, there should be an FAQ on the same website where you access this training video. Please check it. If your question is not answered there is a name and email to enable you to get an answer. We would much rather you contact to get an answer than to decide you won't volunteer.